But did you used to hang around record stores when you were a teenager?
Oh, absolutely.
It's amazing how the community revolves around the stores, like the people working behind the counters, people trying to sell their little indies.
Used to write for fanzine, used to have a college radio show. Yeah, you do your time. Everybody does their time at this.
You're thoroughly immersed in the whole pop phenomenon then. So was there a nice little in-joke then when you wanted to call this file under Easy Listening?
No, actually, the title Easy Listening came from, there was just a little mantra that I had when making this record. Every time I would get a headache, especially when mixing the record, that I would just sort of say that to myself to try to talk myself down. And then just added the file under when it came time to put a proper title on it. I don't take the craft lightly, you know. I think, you know, if you're going to try to engage a very large audience and a fair amount of their time and money and whatever emotional involvement in your work, you better be doing something of quality. You know, I don't think it's something that you just poo-poo and dismiss. Oh, well, I just make music for whatever. So this is really what I do. This is what I've done with the, you know, with the biggest part of my life.
She said, that's a good idea. 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 She said.
I'm not knocking Stone Temple Pilots or you know, Green Day or whoever it is that everybody seems to like right now, but like, you know, they've only been at it a couple of years. Let's see what happens 10 years from now. Jimmy Webb was 15 when he wrote Up, Up and Away, and he's still writing great stuff. You know, all that stuff he wrote for Glenn Campbell. I mean, yeah, it makes you feel pretty small, you know, when there's people that are that good with the craft.
If I found someone who thinks that'll be true to me, it really wouldn't be fun and
Okay, let's go record shop. Now, if you were coming into the store first time, what category would you go for?
Well, I noticed there's Middle Eastern compilations over
Can
here.
we go see
yeah,
it?
let's take a look and see what.
So the world beat stuff is fascinating to you?
I mean, yeah, occasionally you'll hear something. It's just that their approach to music, you know, when you get, especially with like the Indian music, you know, with the different ragas using different meter and scaling of music for different times of the day, I think is fascinating. I mean, I'm sure in Western culture we do that. We choose records we listen to in the morning and night for different reasons. Yeah. But I mean, in a culture like India where they have specific, you know, they have specific types of ragas that are to be played at certain times in the day. I mean, that's pretty cool. That's pretty advanced. You know, that sure beats choosing between Leonard Skinner and the Allman Brothers. In Western pop music, we've got this 4/4, you know, or 6/8 structure that we use all the time, and we're using these very recognizable chord progressions. You get into Celtic music, which is a lot more flowing and always seems to be in 6/8, 7/8, creating these sort of like sea chanties, these different cadences, and you know, the inflection, just the language inflects so differently. It makes you rethink what you're doing with your own work.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, you know, rarely will I go, wow, it's so good to hear Stairway to Heaven again. You know, I'm going to go write a song, you know. It's like, or hearing I Melt With You by Modern English or something. It's like, no, that doesn't really make me, you know, that makes me not want to write a song. Buzzcocks fan, yeah, we got Boo Radley's another great band. Who else in here? Butthole Surfers, neighbors of mine now. There's Buzzcocks and Butthole Surfers together.
Now, did you start off listening to Buzzcocks? Because it is so power pop what you do.
They were a band that I really liked a lot at the time. You know, when they were out, I just thought, you know, beyond all the trappings of the early punk rock, I mean, they sort of just wrote amazing songs, you know, and it was obvious they could play as well, and that they had a sensibility that was, you know, in line with the music at the time, but just, again, the craftsmanship, you know, just being able to turn a phrase and be really clever with it as opposed to just screaming about the destruction and all that. I mean, their destruction was like much more psychic than physical, which was cool.
New stuff over here.
Oh, sure.
All right. Just randomly, what are your thoughts here? We'll start off with this.
Oh, let's see if we can put them in some semblance
Some
semblance of order here if we're going to do that. First one, live album. Did it at the end of a tour in Minneapolis on a 4-track. It's pretty good. This is a reissue of the second album plus some singles. That was good. Metal Circus, the third thing. This is when we went over to SST. Pretty good. Good record. Zen Arcade they don't have, which was the 4th record and probably the best record that the band made. Sort of the coming-of-age double album, which was against everything that was going on at the time.
Yeah.
To dare make a double album, let alone loosely conceptual. New Day Rising, a quick follow-up, it's more of the same. Flip Your Wig, the first one that Grant and I totally conceived and did on our own, and sonically the most curious record. Just some really cool things, some really cool sounds that I hear still to this day that people are using. Candy Apple Gray, the first record for Warner's. That was the beginning of the end of the band.
Well, now, what do you think on looking back on it? Was that a mistake? Do you think when you signed the big deal?
Going over to WEA?
Yeah.
No. I mean, had Husker Du stayed on SST, I don't think it would have gone much further anyways. There was stuff starting within the band. The ego and the friction was already starting. It was just sort of aggravated by Warner's presence, you know, because they have different ways of dealing with it than indie labels do. You know, they like to separate the ego people and sort of build them up separately, and it just makes more trouble. Then there was one more after this, Warehouse Songs and Stories, which basically was 2 solo records packaged as a double album. So.
Well, could you be the one? Could you be the one? Could you be the one that's hanging around? Don't even know what I'm dying for. I don't even know what I'm hiding for. Dying inside.
So now with Sugar, you know, what is it, a couple of years now, and you've gone the independent route, and you're in total control of everything. You co-manage, you produce. Why?
Because of all those other experiences, you know, because
total control here?
Well, you just learn from it. You know what your strong suit is. You know how you want your work to be perceived. You know, at least just being able to set a framework for it to exist. You know, choosing which labels you want to work with, choosing promoters that you would like to have promote your shows, the radio stations and video people that you work with. You know, all those things is just making those choices of people who you think are sympathetic to your ideas and your presentation. So it tends to make it a little more unified, a little more coherent, at least.
So if you give your fans the gift of music, do you get anything in return?
You know, like going on tour and meeting people after the show who you can tell are truly entranced by the work and really try to understand it, you know, and apply it to themselves. You know, we have a very, very peculiar fan base. They're very loyal and very understanding of, you know, the work, and that's good. That it's not just like a flavor of the month, like, oh, here's the hip band and we'll get rid of them next month. You know, these are people that have been there for a long time, you know, and that's great.
14 years.
Yeah, it's been a while. Just getting started, too, you know.